So I want you to raise your hands and give a very warm applause to Karen Adriaenssen.
There you go. Hi. Wow. Thank you so much for being here and making time to spend the afternoon together. Do you ever have days that you think, good grief, my life is cursed? You know what I mean? You wake up and your heating is broken, your car won't start, your boss is being grumpy, your colleagues put all their work into your inbox, and when you're finally getting home, your partner is irritated because you forgot to go to the store. And on days like this, you might think, why bother? What's the use? Well, and I'm here to tell you that such days actually don't exist. Why? Keep listening. I was always happy. I always had a smile on my face and I always had a sunny disposition. I had a great job as a teacher, although my heart wasn't really in it. Do you recognize that feeling? Being content with a job, but not really wanting to do it? But for me, it was okay because dancing was my true passion. So I danced 9 hours a week and I gave 11 hours a week dance lessons. And dance really gave my days meaning. I was single back in that time and I was free to do whatever I pleased. On one night, Tuesday, 28th of December, my doorbell rang. 2015, important. My doorbell rang and my life changed forever. I had a date. And what the beginning could have been of something really beautiful and something new changed in one instant in a horrifying nightmare. Before I could have registered what was happening to me, I was raped. And no, it was not just a misunderstanding or a drunken mistake. He forced his way into my apartment and raped me repeatedly. And I froze and let him have his way. 5 times. They call it date rape. And the only thing I can remember afterwards is that I literally couldn't function anymore for weeks, months long. But I searched for help. And I found an excellent coach. She was my vocal coach, and she was also a life coach. And she taught me one of the most valuable lessons ever. She taught me that I have a choice. And I know it might seem odd, especially in this situation. Surely there's no element of choice in being raped. And yet, you always have a choice. Not necessarily in what happens to you, but in how you deal with it. So I had a choice. Or I lay in pieces on the ground, remain a victim and give up. Or I could choose to make something out of my life and choose to learn and accept what happened to me and learn from it. And I was determined not to be a victim of this sickening person with his horrible crime. I decided to make something out of my life, but make no mistake, it cost me a lot of time and a lot of effort. But after 2 years of hard work, I can finally say, I'm not a victim, and this is not my fault. And because my coach was so helpful to me, I wanted to become a coach myself. So I made a 180 turn degree in my life. I went teaching part-time and went studying to become a life coach. And 4 years ago, I opened my own practice and life was good again. I was guiding people through their journey of personal growth, and I was helping them to become the boss of their thoughts, emotions, actions, equipping them and reaching their biggest goals. I was quite successful, actually. I had satisfied clients with excellent results, and that was one of the most extraordinary feelings. I was extraordinarily grateful for that. But life had another serious lesson for me in store. Exactly 2 years after that horrible night, I got a big surprise in a small package. It just fitted in my hand. It was 3 centimeters long and 1 centimeter wide, and no, I was not pregnant. I had a tumor, breast cancer, of an extremely aggressive sort. 8 months of chemo, a surgery on both breasts, a double mastectomy, a body that grew over 25 kilos heavier, a body marked by giant scars. There were complications that left me with constant nerve pain on my feet, not knowing it would ever disappear, fighting for my life. I've done that. And yet, believe it or not, it was one of the best gifts I've ever gotten. Because you know why? I made it. And I'm not just alive, I'm freaking kicking it. You know, I could have gone to the floor again and mourned about what had happened to me. But cancer has one big advantage. If you're not too sick and too tired from the treatment, you have a lot of time to think. So that's what I did. Think long and hard. And you know what one of my biggest discoveries was? Before the cancer, I always wanted more, better, faster, prettier, thinner, more successful, you name it. After the rape, I learned that I have a choice in how I deal with things. But that 3 by 1 centimeter gift brought me a lot of challenges. It put me on the sideline for 2 years. Because I needed immediate treatment, I had to stop coaching. A job that I loved so much and that I wake up for every day with so much passion. And on top of that, as my body became weaker and weaker from the chemo, I couldn't dance anymore. 2 of my greatest passions gone. And I felt in a deep, dark hole again. I can remember seeing myself in bed crying and saying to myself, Karen, the diagnosed cancer is a fact. You have no influence on it. But where you have influence on is how you deal with it. So the question was, what can I learn from this experience? And I had to learn to be patient. And I can assure you, for an entrepreneur, being patient, quite a challenge. We always want more and better. I had to learn to breathe. And you know what? If you keep working on your dreams, if you keep making baby steps to where you want to be, I promise you, you will get there. You will. Cancer taught me a lot. I got the chance to get to know myself. And most importantly, to love myself. And I can assure you, it's quite a challenge to love yourself if you, when you're looking in the mirror, you don't recognize yourself. 25 kilos that are 5 clothing sizes. And suddenly becoming bald is a not to be underestimated shock. Loving yourself, I know it sounds cliche, but in my own experience, I think it's crucial if you want to have a happy and successful and meaningful life. If you love yourself, others will too. And that is kind of a magnetic field that I never really aware of. My #1 goal as a coach is to let as many people as possible surf along my positive vibes. For me, there's literally no room anymore for negativity, and that too is a conscious choice. And the snowball effect is enormous. But what about you? Are you also hard on yourself? Do you ever give yourself a pat on the back? Or do you ever say to yourself, "You're looking good today," or "Job well done"? If the answer is no, then why not? Because from time to time, we all need it. Imagine a baby taking its first footsteps. Come on, come to mommy, come on. And when she's wobbling a few steps forward and then falls, do we say, "Stupid baby, you can't do anything"? No, of course not. For every step the baby makes, we reward her. "Good job! Well done! Wow, you're so clever! Yes, you're so clever! Take another step, take another step." And that encouragement makes the baby try another time and another time until she can walk. Do you ever think a baby is thinking, "I failed. You know, walking is not for me. I quit, I can't"? Then comes the question in mind, why do we so willingly sabotage ourselves all the time? Imagine that I write in my diary, "Dear diary, I can't wait to get up in the morning because tomorrow I really want to be a big loser. I can't wait to do my job with no energy and all negativity, and use my talents as little as possible. I can't wait to surround myself with people who nag all the time and criticize. And when I go back home, I will ignore every living creature that crosses my path. And to cut off the day, I will snuggle in the arms of my partner, which give me a worthless feeling. What a fabulous day awaits me." Of course, no one of us wish it on ourselves, and yet almost everyone in this room does it. Arm yourself with positive thinking. But be careful, because here's a trap. Positive thinking is not the only thing you need to be happy and successful. The person who says that hides from their own biggest fears. Loving yourself, believing in yourself, making the choice to pick yourself up when you have fallen and learn from your mistakes are, for me, the keys of life. Loving yourself, believing in yourself, making the choice to pick yourself up when you have fallen and learn from your mistakes are, for me, the keys of a happy and successful life. And I was so lucky when I was laying in pieces on the ground that I had a coach who showed me a way forward. Does that mean that the way forward is an easy way to go forward? Hell no. That way is long and hard work. each and every day, because you know why? The next challenge is probably waiting just around the corner. But hey, bring it on. I can handle it and probably learn something from it. I would never turn back time for all the money in the world, because however difficult things seemed, how impossible things seemed at the time, they made it possible for me to realize what my biggest dream is. Listen carefully. How difficult things were, how impossible things seemed. Those moments made it possible for me to realize what my biggest dream was. Inspiring, coaching, living the best life I can live. You know what the craziest lesson of all is? Yeah, whew, it's hot here. The craziest lesson of all is my most painful moments were my biggest learning opportunities. My most painful moments were my biggest learning opportunities. And do you recognize the feeling you have gotten bad news? And you broke up with your partner, your business got bankrupt, you got fired. It's always easy for other people who went through a rough time to tell you, but if I can do it, you can do it too. And that's true, but how exactly? How can you pick yourself up when you have fallen on the ground with that one sentence, if I can do it, you can do it too? It's not enough, isn't it? So that's why I designed 4 stepping stones for you to build a bridge over your pit, over your problem. Imagine you're standing in front of your pit, your problem, or your challenge, I would love to call it. It's always easy when you're on the other side to look back. And it's always easy for others to say, if you have broken up with your partner, there's plenty of fish in the sea, or you will find someone else, even someone better. Or when you got fired, but that's a good thing. Now you're free from your terrible boss and your horrible colleagues, and you get paid for it as well. So, you're standing in front of your hole, your problem, your pit. And the only thing you can see is a big, giant, bottomless pit. Step 1. Be aware of your problem and recognize your feeling about it, because it's okay not to be okay. Sometimes life is shitty. Recognize your feelings. It's really important, but be careful, because here's a trap. The longer you stay in negative thoughts, it can lead you to illness or depression. So consciously choose how long you want to feel badly. Recognize the feeling and move on. Okay? Step 2. This is not the end. Be aware of that. This is not the end. Okay, it sucks, but it's definitely not the end, because now you have a choice how you deal with it. Okay? Step 3. Imagine the end. Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? What is your biggest dream? What is your best case scenario? What is it? And step 4, make it concrete. What are steps that you can take towards that goal? But most importantly, what is the first small achievable step that you can make? Remember the baby steps? We always want to jump. Just a baby step, each and every day. Okay? And before you know it, you build brick by brick a bridge over your pit. And before you know it, you're on the other side with a lot of energy to spare. But listen, if you're not willing to take the time to build your bridge, change will never happen. Why? Chances are that you will fall into your pit, and then you need a lot of extra energy just to climb out of it. And when you're finally there, you have no energy to move forward. And guilty. I've been there. I've jumped a few times. I wanted to jump a few times over my hole, over my pit. Let me take you back to December 29 at 5 o'clock in the morning. My rapist just left. And I immediately wanted to skip step 1. As usual, I left with my bike to work at 8 o'clock. And I felt terrible, tired, disgusting, ashamed. But I couldn't admit what had happened to me. I couldn't because it would be too painful. But what I didn't know was that I was digging my own grave. I was making my pit wider and deeper. But until the moment that I literally couldn't function anymore and lay deadly ill in bed. And I remember thinking by myself, Karen, this man is not going to take away your sunny spirit and your laugh. I just wanted to move on with my life. So I jumped again because I still didn't recognize my problem and I still had not told anyone about what had happened to me. And I was digging again, even wider and deeper than before, until my coach saw that there was something seriously wrong with me. And she made me aware of my problem for the first time. Step 1, be aware of your problem. What a terrible feeling. All the shame, all the disappointment, the dirtiness, everything that I've been running away from, everything that I was been suppressing bubbled over again. But for the first time, I talked about what had happened to me, and break 1 was late. And quickly followed stepping stone number 2. This is not the end. No, it sucks, but this is not the end. Maybe it's the beginning of something new. What the beginning was, I didn't know. I didn't know it then. But this was not the end, because now I have a choice how I deal with things. Cool. Step 3. Imagine the end. And I was so looking forward to be the happy Karen again, the Karen who can still open herself up for another partner, to another man to welcome in her life, the Karen who still trusts other people. Step 4, make it concrete. So at the first step, I had to report my rapist. And I had to talk about my trauma to a therapist. And then I could do the things that I loved, going out with friends, teaching again, dancing again. And so I built a bridge over that pit. And the more you build your bridges, the easier and the quicker it gets. Let me give you just one more example. I take you back to the moment that I was laying in my bed crying after the first 2 chemo treatments. And I was crying because I was sad and I was scared. I was scared of the unknown. I was scared of what was yet to come. And I was sad because I had the feeling that my world was standing still and everyone around me was still on the express train of life. And that I couldn't do any longer what I loved. So, stepping stone 1. I called my boyfriend and I told him that I was scared and that I was feeling sad. And I told him the whole story. So I recognized my feelings about it. It wasn't fun, but it was my first step. And then, stepping stone 2, this is not the end. In every cell of my body, I knew this is not my last day, this is not my last week, not my last month, even not my last year. This is the beginning of something new. Step 4, make it concrete. Okay, so I had to think about what can I still do during this process instead of what can't I still do, yeah, or what I can't anymore. What can I still do? Who do I want to be? What do I want to do during this process? And so I made a list of everything I always wanted to do but never really had the time for. And at one moment I had so many things to look forward to. First things first, I watched all the Netflix films and series that I always wanted to see. And because I wanted to continue inspiring, I made the choice to make films online and videos that I was sharing on Facebook. And because of that, my reach was wide, and because of that, I got the chance to be the face of the warmest week of Studio Brussels 2017. And that was a wonderful feeling because this let me be the light in the dark for even more people. And this is not the only good thing that came out of the cancer. I had to learn to communicate with my partner, and I had to learn to communicate about my feelings. And because of that, I can now say that I have an amazing relationship and a really passionate relationship. Yeah, and because of that, I got the chance to make a career out of my 2 passions, to build 2 own businesses out of my greatest passions. And this is the proof. I transformed misery into theory that I can teach any one of you guys. I made the choice to make other choices. And this all came out of it. And maybe the 4 stepping stones method, maybe it sounds a bit odd or too simplistic or hocus pocus, but let me show you how quickly it can go and how easy it is to use. And for that, I would like to invite you to close your eyes for a moment. Close your eyes. And breathe. Breathe in. And breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And think about the choice that you have to make. Which choice are you facing? What problem do you have, or which challenge? Imagine, picture it in front of you. Which choice do you have to make? What is your biggest problem or challenge? Know that this is not the end. Okay, the feeling sucks, and it's okay not to be okay. It's okay. Be aware of your feelings about it. It's okay to feel frustrated or sad or excited or Step 3, imagine the end. You have now a choice. A choice how you deal with this. So what steps can you take to go from point E to point B? What steps can you make towards your goal? What can you do to be that person? To look like that person, to feel like that person? Imagine how that person's looking like, how you see yourself, how you feel. And which first step are you going to take? Which first small step can you make tomorrow towards that goal? Remember, baby steps. Baby steps are quicker than jumps. Make a promise with yourself right now. Which step are you going to take tomorrow to solve your problem, your challenge? And I believe in you. You can do it, especially now. Now you know how you can build your own bridges. You can do it. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. So, now you have the power. You have the power to make a choice. You cannot choose what happens to you, but you can choose how you deal with it. Okay? And one more time, I believe in you because now you know how to build your own bridges. My name is Adriaenssen and I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.